Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Higgins, would you do a roll call vote?
Yes,
I'm sorry,
Mayor
a roll.
President Percival.
Here.
Vice President Bull.
Here.
Councilman Capabianco.
Here.
Councilman Long.
Here.
Councilman Swigert.
Here.
Councilman Sidlow.
Here.
Councilwoman Guy.
Here.
Chief Murray.
Here.
Mr. Powers.
Here.
Solicitor Wills.
Here.
Engineer Catania.
Here.
And Mr. Bennett. You do have one.
And we have our junior
I'm sorry,
council
and
person.
Sarah's here.
I'm here.
Okay, I got you.
Council has a moment. If you read the minutes of the previous meeting, what is your pleasure, please?
Make a motion to pass next month's minutes.
Second it.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Mrs. Higgins, do you have any correspondence this
I do.
evening?
Okay, for the month of September, the money brought in through this office for licenses and inspections, $5,207.50. From Nationwide Insurance for refund, $25.20. Fire relief, $10,567.67. Recorder of deeds, $5,654.84. And from the police department for parking tickets, $75. Tax Claim Bureau, $2,469.71, and the Borough Tax Collector, Ed Fisher, $3,829.73, from District Court, $422.93, for a total income that came through this office for September, that does not include the EIT or the LST tax, $28,252.58, and that's all I have.
Any questions for Mrs. Higgins? Moving on to the mayor's report, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, council. Good evening, citizens. As council may recall, several months ago, we had an individual disrupt one of our council meetings and had to remove from the chambers by law enforcement. I'd like to read this into the minutes. This is a formality that we need to have in order for individuals to understand moving into the future about what happens if you attempt to disrupt a meeting. The disruption of a public meeting by any person or persons, and for any reason, will not be tolerated. Any person or persons disrupting a public meeting will be escorted from the council chambers by a law enforcement officer. If the disruptive person or persons assumes an attitude of decorum, that person or persons will be allowed to re-enter the chambers. If that person or persons continue to disrupt the public meeting, they will be charged with a criminal act up to a violation of 18 Pennsylvania Consolidated Statute 55 at 5508, disruption of a public meeting, a misdemeanor of the third degree. If, while being escorted from the council chambers or any time thereafter, that person or person shows any aggressive action toward any law enforcement officer, they will be charged with a criminal act up to a violation of 18 Pennsylvania Consolidated Status 2702 A, B, and C, aggravated assault upon a police officer, a felony of the first degree. Parkside Police Department report, September 1st to September 30th, 2020. There were 7 crimes reported in September. Pardon me. 2 thefts, 1 reception of stolen property, 1 offense against a child, 1 motor vehicle theft, 4 assaults, 106 calls to service. The most prevalent, 10 domestics, 6 medical emergencies, 21 assist other agencies, and 15 public service calls. There were 3 automobile accidents, 7 motor vehicle stops, traffic citations 4, and ordinance violations 2. Madam President, the police department has 2 ordinances that they would like to present to council for council's consideration. Chief Murray, if you'll go over that particular ordinance that you've been researching.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to kind of set the stage for why I'm going to present these to the council to have for their consideration. Delaware County has been working for several months now on an ordinance at the county level to, in essence, decriminalize small amounts of marijuana. Up to a very small amount that you would use personally, and that includes a device that you might use to smoke it or whatever. Marijuana, as everyone knows across the country, the norms are changing. And slowly but surely, state by state, you're seeing things change within individual states. The cost of a prosecution for a small amount of marijuana can be significant. An officer's time, the court's time, clogging up the courts. So what the county is proposing in their ordinance is to take it out of the criminal realm and make it a civil penalty. So there's still a penalty attached, but it's civil in nature. So I met with the district attorney to discuss with him, where he's going with this. This will be the law of the land according to the district attorney's office. So as a police officer on the streets, we will not be able to criminally charge the misdemeanor small amount possession if we were to stop somebody. Now, we don't have that many stops in a year, but one or two, sometimes a little bit more, but it's not, it's not a big problem. So they're going to pass this ordinance probably next week or the following week. They've already read it once. Again, it'll be read and passed at the next council meeting. If Parkside Police stop somebody with a small amount of marijuana, we now have to charge them under the county's ordinance, which means when the case is adjudicated, the county gets the proceeds of that fine, right? So what the district attorney suggested was, for any community that wants to have their own similar ordinance that the police can use in a civil capacity as opposed to a criminal, that money then comes back to the borough, okay? To me, it was a no-brainer. It just makes good sense that we follow the county's lead and have create an ordinance here in the borough that takes care of the exact same thing. So what I have are two copies, well, one copy each. I have the ordinance that the county is considering, which has been advertised. And I have an ordinance that was passed in Upper Darby back in April. When you read them, they're almost identical. A little bit more verbiage in the Upper Darby one, but they're very, very similar in what they say. The fines are different. Upper Darby, I think, is $75 fine. The county is, I think, a $50 fine. But if I can give them to, you, Madam President, for your consideration, maybe have the solicitor take a look at it. And I think for the borough's consideration, it just makes good sense.
And I will give this to the solicitor to review and to give us a draft for next month.
Okay. If you have any questions, if anybody on council has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
So what you're proposing is that if someone is stopped for marijuana, that it be charged with a Parkside ordinance as opposed to a county
Correct.
ordinance?
Correct.
So it's just lower down the chain of federalism?
Well, even if it's a county violation, if we didn't do this and basically it's the same thing. It's just the benefit to us of having our own ordinances is we get the proceeds from the fines. It doesn't really matter which ordinance you would charge under. It's still non-criminal. It's a civil. So if you're familiar at all with what we term in our business a non-traffic citation, okay? A traffic citation is not a criminal proceeding. A non-traffic citation is just a way of citing somebody for a non-traffic event other than a motor vehicle violation. And we use them for disorderly conduct, those kinds of statutes. Or, in the case of an ordinance, we would write the ordinance violation in on that non-traffic citation. Still goes to the court, they can have a hearing on it. If they're found guilty, they pay the fine as delineated in the ordinance, you know, whatever the borough's pleasure is. But again, I go back to, again, we're not going to make $1 million on this. There's not a lot of it that happens. But if it does, the money should be coming back here, not going to the county. Okay.
What do they consider a small amount?
It is delineated
Personal
in there,
use.
and I believe 30 grand or less
Okay.
is, and that's right out of the law. I mean, you know. Okay,
Thanks, Chief. Anything else you need to comment on, anything?
I'm good.
Okay. Madam President, I have another ordinance. I know that you are a dog lover.
Yes.
I know that there are several people on council that have dogs. I'm sure there may be some people in the audience tonight that have dogs. I have a dog myself. I have an ordinance to propose. I've been working with an internationally known animal welfare organization. And if the council sees fit to pass this ordinance, this will make Parkside the first municipality in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to outlaw shock collars. And I would like to present this to council. The ordinance yours was made up in cooperation with this group, and I think it would be it would put Parkside in a very good place as far as animal rights are concerned.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And just one more thing. The fire department was supposed to be here this evening. Chief Sean Swagum was going to give a progress report on the fire company since the loss of that income due to Crozier pulling the contract. Chief, for those of you who don't know it, Chief Swagum here in Parkside is a career firefighter with the Philadelphia Fire Department. And he is attached to a medic unit, which over the last 48 hours, he has worked 24 hours in Philadelphia during the riots. Unfortunately, Chief Swagger's medic unit last evening was pelted with bricks, and he himself was hit several times. He is going to, he went off duty at 5 o'clock, he's okay, and he's just going to take some relaxing time at home. But he would like to be put on the agenda for November.
And we wish him well.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, that's all.
Is council all familiar with the use of shock collars on a dog?
We have one. It was awful.
There's two types. One's a shock collar that gives them a direct sting. Other ones can be muted to give them a buzz, which a vibration. The shock collars can actually, I don't know if anybody else is familiar with this, cause physical pain, gastro issues. If they malfunction or you have that collar on too high of a vibration, it can actually cause internal injuries and cause the dog to go into seizures. So I personally am against them. It can cause cardiac arrest. And if council's okay with this, I'd like to also give this to our solicitor to look into and work up as a draft for next month. Unless
Thank you.
anybody has any questions on that. At this time, we have call to the citizens on agenda items only. If you'd like to address council on agenda items only. Okay, we'll keep it moving. At this time, I'd like to give my report. I'd like to start off by thanking Councilman Capabianco, who painted the garage doors and spruced them up a little bit for the winter months. Nick does this on his own time, and I truly appreciate it, Nick, and I'm sure so does Ryan. Please check YouTube for our meetings. There's been some discussions. People are still unfamiliar that our meetings on YouTube. You type in Parkside Borough Council, And then there'll be a place there to say all, and you hit on that and it'll list all of our meetings. And for those who are unaware, we do have a food drive that is ongoing. If you need to donate or would like to donate, you can check with council. We can put you in touch with someone, or Ms. Kim Roman's here, and I know she has done that before. Several residents have gotten together, independent of council, and they're doing a pumpkin carving contest event. And the notice was, if you put them outside on October 30th or send a photo to hashtag Parkside Pumpkins 2020, you can post your photo there. And I believe on the 30th, they're going to make their determination as to who wins. So I'd like to thank two of our residents, Beth Hale and Nin Bell, who have put this together. Again, it's not council sponsored, it's an independent group. A quick shout out to the group who did some cleanup on Edgemont Avenue last month. Also, our budget meeting was held, and we will not be able to have the first reading of the budget tonight. We're still waiting for Delaware County to give us an idea on the assessment. As everybody knows, we had 100% assessment. And normally we would know what our millage equates to in dollars and cents. Unfortunately, the county has not determined if they're going to stop the assessment for this year and do it next year, or if they're going to continue with the 100% assessment, and we're waiting for a figure. So our first budget reading will not be until next month. Speaking of next month, council will be early. We're November 18th. We'll be having a CDBG hearing. So because of Thanksgiving, we always move up a meeting a week. And the treasurer has told me that our pension plan now has gone from a level 1 distress from a level 2 based on our evaluations. So that's good news. Anybody who has a street light, please call the office with the location and the pole number. Once again, as the lights go out, we're changing them over to the LEDs. At the March 25th meeting, I specifically mentioned a set protocol that has been on here for decades concerning contacting the professional staff, independent of council. It was also discussed December 7th, January 1st, January 6th, January 22nd, February 26th, March 31st, March 25th, April 17th, and April 20th. Once again, a council member has contacted the professional staff with no copies to anybody else on council, including the president of council or the vice president. The reason we do this is we have a protocol is to save the taxpayers money in case Mrs. Higgins, myself, or Vice President Bull can answer a question. I brought this up to the council member, and when the council member responded to me through an email, I should not need permission to speak to the solicitor. Every penny counts at this point with our economy. I'm bringing this up to council once more, and I'd like to hear all of council's opinion as to the set protocol that's been here for decades, prior to even myself being on council. We do this because to save money. And I'd like council's opinion as to the set protocol and if it should continue.
It should continue.
Thank you. Vice President?
It has worked for decades, and it's not to conceal information. It does work. It's moving in the right direction.
Well, what if you have a question about the behavior of another council member? Or if you, anyone should have access to the borough solicitor at any time if they have a question about the way the government is operating. I mean, if I don't understand why you have to get permission from the council president to speak to the solicitor. I asked a very simple question, and I got a very simple answer, and I don't think it was inappropriate for me to ask that question directly. I did not care to engage you as to knowing that I asked the question, and I don't feel I did anything wrong.
Well, number one, it's disrespectful to the president of council, no matter who that person is, to exclude them from any correspondence, or the vice president. Number two is, everyone here tries to save money, and it's not our money, it's the taxpayers' money. You did not have to,
When you requested this ordinance be created by the solicitor, what process did you go through to get his time?
I commented to all of council with a copy of that ordinance.
After the solicitor had already prepared it? Before the solicitor prepared it?
Spoke with him after the budget meeting.
Okay, so you used his time just like everybody else?
Concerning a resolution, not a personnel issue.
Okay, so I had a question about what occurred at the previous meeting. I didn't have a question about a personnel issue.
You had a question concerning Mrs. Guy.
I had a question regarding, I wanted an explanation of what the vote said at the previous meeting, and I asked to see a copy of the document that the solicitor prepared and wrote to the governor. I don't think that was an unreasonable thing to request.
You wrote, and your message was, you weren't sure if it was a motion or a resolution.
Okay,
And you wanted specific documentation from the solicitor.
okay.
If you had contacted myself or the vice president, we could have told you it was a resolution.
Okay, I didn't
It was
want.
not a resolution, it
I
was a
didn't
motion.
care to have the opinion from you. I cared to have the opinion from the solicitor. Absolutely not. I wanted the advice of the attorney of the borough to advise me on something that occurred at the previous meeting. That is not an
If you
unreasonable
had
thing to
been
do.
paying attention at the previous meeting, and I have said this before at other meetings, you would have known because you voted on a motion, not a resolution.
I also.
Your lack of respect, and if and when you ever sit in this chair, I hope another member doesn't show you the lack of respect you show me.
I have got to disagree with you. Okay,
Okay.
I do not
Well,
show you. I do not show you disrespect. Okay, I do not show you disrespect at all. Okay,
Mr.
And-
Sidlow, the question is, should we allow any member of council to contact the professional staff and therefore spend the taxpayers' dollars when someone else can answer that question? You're saying we should allow that. May I move on to Mr. Schwager?
I'm saying everyone has equal access to the borough solicitor, that we all have equal access to the borough solicitor, and that we should not have a gatekeeper between advice and the solicitor. and the council
I
member.
understand your point. However, we try to keep the budget down, and one of the expenses for our professional staff is if everyone contacts them with questions, when someone else other than the professional staff can answer them, then we save the taxpayers' money.
Okay, but I wanted an answer not from the borough president, I wanted it from the borough solicitor. I don't know why that's unreasonable.
Mr. Schwager, do you have an opinion on this? Because I'm going to entertain a motion in a second.
No opinion at this time.
Thank you. Councilman Long?
Before I answer, how much money have we, or they have cost the taxpayers for this year so far?
Two council members contacting the solicitors cost approximately $1,000 so far.
I find that hard to believe. I would like to see those bills.
$1,000 that we could use to
Let's
some-
let Ms. Councilman Long speak, please.
So that's $1,000 we could have used for something else more important. When you had the answer, Vice President's full.
And Mrs. Higgins
had-
would have known that.
There's
Well, I
no,
would say we keep with what we've had for past decades.
Okay. Mrs. Guy?
Well, I feel that there are some cases where a gatekeeper is going to prevent the question from being answered, so I feel like it's been used in a adversarial way.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion
there's
to
no-
continue with the
There's no way
protocol.
$1,000 has been spent on
The first time,
several
Mrs.
small
Guy,
questions.
if you want me to get specific, the first time Mrs. Guy continually contacted about Mr. Wills looking up court cases, it was $300.
Okay, that's $300.
First time.
Where's the $1,000?
The second time, we went into $600. I don't have the current cost of your question to the solicitor. I'm going to guess we're approaching $1,000 this year.
Okay, I would like to see those bills and proof of that. There's no way there's $1,000 in bills to questioning the solicitor. No way.
Mr. Sidlow? Mr. Sidlow? At this point, counsel, I'm going to entertain a motion that we continue with the protocol of council going through either a president, vice president, or the secretary first to save taxpayers money.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Mrs. Higgins, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Mr. Bull?
Aye.
But that was a yes, okay. Mr. Sidlow?
No.
Mr. Schweiger?
Thank you for your, never mind.
Mr. Schweik?
Yes.
Pardon me, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Shirley?
Yes.
And Mr. Long?
Yes.
And Ms. Scott?
No.
Thank you, counsel. We'll move on.
Motion carried.
Yes, thank you. Council has before them Resolution 1827. A resolution of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, establishing a policy for the use of handheld signs during public meetings. Whereas pursuant to section of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act 65 PA, subsection 701, the Act governing public access and public participation in certain governmental meetings. Persons attending those meetings have certain rights to express public comment, including the display of handheld signs. Whereas also pursuant to the Act, governing bodies have the right to establish reasonable rules regarding the display of such handheld signs to promote public safety and an efficient and orderly meeting. Whereas the Borough Council has determined that it is advisable to establish a formal policy on the use of handheld signs at all public meetings. Now therefore be it resolved that the following rules to ensure public safety and proper conduct of meetings and the maintenance of order be hereby adopted by the Borough of Parkside pertaining to the use of handheld signs at all public meetings. Number 1, all persons attending the public meeting shall be limited to a sign of no more than one handheld sign measuring no more than 4 total square feet in size. All persons who wish to display a sign while in a public meeting shall maintain the sign within their hands at all times. No signage shall be permitted to be affixed to the wall, doorway, window, ceiling, floor of the municipal building. All persons attending a public meeting who intend to display a handheld sign shall situate themselves and their signs in a fixed stationary location designated by the President of Council or Borough designee. All fire exits and aisles must remain clear of obstacles, and signage may be situated any closer to the front of the meeting room than the first row of the audience chairs. No enhanced lighting or flashing shall be used in conjunction with any handheld sign. Number 5, all persons using any type of handheld sign pursuant to this policy shall ensure that this signage is utilized and located in a manner that will not block the aisleway, doorways, will not interfere with or obstruct the ability of other meeting attendees to observe or otherwise freely participate in all aspects of the meeting. What's your pleasure, council?
I'll make a motion to pass said resolution 1827.
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion?
Did our solicitor draw this up?
Yes.
And so how much did this cost?
I haven't gotten Mr. Will's bill yet, but I felt that since under the Sunshine Act, those signs are to be considered comment, we cannot restrict them. The public safety and the signs that were used at the budget meeting were way over 2 by 2 or 4 square foot. And we needed to, unfortunately, for the first time, address this issue.
You know, we have an ordinance for signs on people's yards, right?
I would have to ask the code officer that.
Yeah, we do, but we don't enforce it.
I would have to ask
And
the
then
code
Mrs. Saunders
officer
would be
that.
under attack on that.
This
one.
is drawn up specifically for public safety while somebody is in the audience, if somebody has a sign that's 4 by 4 foot.
What safety issues could a sign create?
Well, if there's a fire in this building or we needed to exit this room in a hurry and we have one exit only, if somebody in the audience has a 4 foot by 4 foot sign, somebody could trip over that and fall.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
in answer to Mrs. Dye's question about what it costs the solicitor, please bill me. This way, there's no money taken out of the residents. I will be more than happy to pay for this.
Thank you, Councilman.
Madam President, if I may comment.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Political signs, signs covering religious beliefs, signs based on municipal or government, such as the sign that you see support the Chester Water Authority, are exempt from any prohibition municipal ordinances.
Thank you, Mayor. Mrs. Higgins, we seem to have an issue on this resolution. Would you please do a roll call?
Okay, so that was for,
Res-
excuse me, 1827.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Bolt.
Yes.
And Mr. Sidlow.
No.
Mr.
Excuse me,
Swigert.
that's the second time you made a comment after I voted. That's not,
Excuse me?
that's not appropriate.
All right, let's go back to the vote. Mr.
Mr.
Sidlow
Swigert.
voted no.
Yes.
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 Nix, yes. Shirley.
Yes.
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 Eric's yes. And Mrs. Scott.
No.
No.
I am unsure why 2 of our council members voted no, but that's your right to do so. It's basically, please let me finish. This is basically, as you know, you were here for the budget meeting, that persons brought in signs that were 4 foot by 4 foot. If we had had a large group of people here after the COVID is over with, when we can hold 25 or 35 people in the audience, and we had an emergency in here, or somebody fell over with a massive heart attack, and you have 4 foot by 4 foot signs in the way, this is why this was created. The first time in the history of this borough, we have to create a resolution like this.
I do not think there's a safety issue from signs.
Thank you, that's your opinion.
And nobody's right is being taken away. They still have the right to,
You still have a right to bring in something 4 foot square, which is 2 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4. Unless council has any questions for me on my report, I'd like to move on, and I'd like to welcome our junior council person back.
Actually, Madam President?
Yes, sir.
I think Vice President Bull is trying to get your attention.
I'm sorry.
I didn't vote yes based on safety. This is for borough business, and people could string banners, could do a lot of things like that. Has it happened? No. Has it happened elsewhere? Yes. So it had nothing to do with safety on my vote.
And I think you're absolutely right. We could have people adhere things to the walls and damage the property
So it made sense.
with illuminating LED lights. Miss Powers, it's nice to see you back. Hi. I don't believe you have a report tonight, but we look forward to you coming again. At this point, we'll move on to Mr. Capabianco.
Thank you, Madam President. On the public safety, all the police vehicles have undergone their general maintenance for the month. For code violations, we got a sidewalk obstruction on East Avon, the unit block. There's a low-hanging tree there. Residents can't, they have to duck under it or go out in the street, and they've been advised that they have to have that cleared by Friday, end of Friday. Other than that, report general progress on the public works. Again, general progress.
Super. Any questions for Councilman Capabianco? Ordinance report, Councilman Schwager?
I have one resolution to bring to council tonight. It's Resolution 1828. This is a resolution authorizing the application to the 2020 PICO Green Region Open Space Program for the West Cole Memorial Park project. Whereas the Borough of Parkside desires to undertake the West Cole Memorial Park upgrade project, and whereas the Borough desires to apply to the PICO Green Region Open Space Program for a grant for the purpose of carrying out this project, and whereas the Borough has received and understands the 2020 PICO Green Region Open Space Program guidelines. Therefore, be it resolved that the Township, Borough, City Board of Supervisors Council hereby approves of this project and authorizes application of the PICO Green Region Open Space Program in the amount of $10,000. And be it further resolved that if the application is granted, the Borough commits to the expenditure of matching funds in the amount of $27,400 necessary for the project's success.
Second.
Madam President, may I?
Yes, please.
So everyone doesn't think that there's going to be a $27,000 match. This project was actually awarded a grant from Delco Greenways Project, or Greenways Fund, in the amount of $9,350. So we're trying to leverage grant against grant so that we can get this project completed. So right now, should we get this $10,000, we're looking at a borough share of $18,050, just so everyone understands where we stand right now from a funding standpoint.
Any other questions or comments?
Did we discuss that during the budget meetings, $18,000?
That was put in from last year, and this year we have 20, I don't have my budget figures with me, but I believe we put capital purchase expenditures of 20 or 25,000.
Okay, so this would be our capital purchase for the year?
Yes, as long as nothing breaks.
Okay. And we're going to do that at the end of the year if nothing breaks, or are we going to do that?
I would
In the
hope to
middle
do
of the
that
year.
by the fall.
Madam President, there's always money that we keep for parks, recreation, and things like that can be capitalized for these types of projects. They're a direct benefit to the citizen.
You bet, you bet. Any of these grants are, and it's, majority of it's free money. Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
just a quick return. I looked up the borough ordinances for signs. The signs are actually a code not a borough ordinance. It would be a zoning ordinance. And they discuss basically commercial signs. I don't believe, and the solicitor probably will agree with me on this, that the borough could regulate signs that go on individuals' front yards, since that individual's front yard is considered private property. Thank you. I'm sorry for you.
Okay. Councilman Schweiger, you want to continue?
Other than ordinance 1828, I can just report general progress.
Super, thank you. License and inspections, Councilman Long?
Thank you, Madam President. For the permits issued for buildings, we had residential 13, commercial 0, plumbing residential 2, commercial 0, mechanical residential 0, commercial 0, electrical residential 0, commercial 0. Use and occupancy inspections were completed, there were 6. Re-inspections completed, there were 5. No 0 street opening permits were issued. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilman Long? Emergency management, Mr. Powers, do you have a report this evening?
Good evening, Madam President and residents. Had one fire investigation. It was a kitchen fire. It was contained to the stove. Investigation is now closed. Under the health inspector report, the borough will continue to follow all CDC guidelines. There will be no trunk or treat on school property sponsored by the borough or the fire company. So there's been stuff out there on social media asking about it. There was no large gatherings at all within the borough at this time. So there will be no trunk or treat. On a more important note, in the last 2 weeks, the fire company has been very active in the borough. without going into too much detail, the fire company needs to remain in this borough, especially what's have taken place in the last 2 weeks in this borough. Response times have been excellent, and it's important that it remains that way. That's all I have.
And I think we all totally agree. Do you have anything for fire marshal or health or?
That's all the reports in one.
Super. Then we will move on to the finance. Vice President Bull?
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. And actually, it's a healthy report. It's financially balanced. I should have said that before the vote. But with that, I would like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move on to the Woodlot project. I will have to report general progress on the fitness stations and defer that to the engineer. She's got that one taken care of. And the other part that I would like to say for the Woodlot is I believe we should start to research or look into some sort of invasive plant abatement program. I don't know if perhaps there's grant money out there, but I did notice during a walkthrough that there is a significant amount of poison ivy, significant amount of multifloral rose, and things that, poison ivy is a health hazard for people that are allergic to it, obviously, and then there are other issues with invasive plants. And there has been a few complaints about the spotted lanternfly host, which is the ailanthus tree. And I have seen that there has been other municipal abatement programs. So I started looking, but I would like to start entertaining the idea of an abatement program for us. It will make the park more user-friendly. Anybody chasing after their ball won't have to worry about getting poison ivy. It'll bring more of the citizens into the park. And so that's just me putting it out there.
Are you going to follow up on that?
It is my intention to follow up on that.
Super.
So, and with that, I will report general progress.
Super, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Vice President? Recreation, Councilman Schwager?
Just general progress at this time.
Councilman Capabianco, do you have anything for recycling?
Yes, I do. The monthly report, total trash is 220 ton, and recycling is 15 ton. And I'd like to say, welcome back, Sarah Powers.
Thank you. Did the tax collector leave us a report?
We did. Okay, the treasurer has received.
I know. I know.
The treasurer has received a total of $892,940.50 to date. There was $7,917.86 in revenue deposits from September 10th to October 11th. That's it.
Super. Moving into our engineer's report, Ms. Catania.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a copy. Oh, you don't have my report. I'm sorry. I only have my report. I apologize for that. I'm looking at my report saying you have a copy of it.
No, I don't.
Just as a follow-up for the Pico Green region, initially, or when we put the Greenways grant into Delaware County, we were responsible for 75%. That was a 25% grant, with us being responsible for 75%, which was over $24,000. So just so everyone understands, that was part of the approval process back in the end of 2018 into 2019 for the Greenways grant. The woodlot, the project is completed, and believe it or not, I actually received a note from a resident. Found out that she had been up on the site for the first time, and she said it's wonderful.
That's great.
So you're very rarely that you get that kind of a compliment. So that was very nice, and I thank the resident for reaching out.
The lights are great. The lighting is great.
It is great.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. The only thing that I have, we have Community Development Block Grant next month, and I will tell you that, again, the borough does not have any eligible areas within the borough in which to do improvement projects. We do have a grant currently. I'm waiting for the notification from the county. Once they have the money from HUD, they'll send us a notification saying that they've completed the environmental review and we can move on. That's for the pedestrian lights on the Chester side. And we received that grant because they utilized some of the areas of Chester, because of your proximity to Chester, in order for you to be eligible for that piece of work. What you are eligible for is some kind of planning grants. And as we try to move forward in town, I think it might be beneficial for you to ask for some sort of a planning grant to upgrade the corridor of Edgemont Avenue. That would include trying to find area where you could find parking, because that's a major issue for any of the businesses that are there. Improve the walkability so that residents can walk through and have services in the town. So you're able to enjoy your town and stay in your town for whatever services that you need. So that's going to be my suggestion for the hearing. If anyone has any others that they would like to discuss during the hearing, please let me know, and I'll put something together, let you know whether it's eligible or not eligible. An email will work, and we can talk about it the night of the hearing. The only action items that I have this evening is the 2020 road program. The road program is complete. The punch list that we gave A.F. Damon is completed as well. I have a change order for the final quantities. This is a credit. This is into your liquid fuels fund, and it's a credit of $4,806.80.
That's great.
That the total
That's great.
contract is $53,915.20. Now, to ask for council to consider a motion to approve that change order.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the change order in the plus for $4,806.80.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
And then the last thing that I have is, since the punch list is complete, we did receive today, this afternoon, a final bill from A.F. Damon. I'd like to get this done tonight. It's a final payment of $5,391.52.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
We'll be putting together the completion report that we need to do for PennDOT. I will need the canceled checks, which is why I'd like to get it on the agenda for this evening. So we'll have to the end of the year to get that completion report to PennDOT. That's all I have. I can report general progress otherwise and answer any questions that anyone has.
We'll get that over to our treasurer so that we can get those checks for you, Lisa.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments for our engineer? Moving on to our solicitor's report, Mr. Wills.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First issue on my report is 2810 Edgemont Avenue. If council recalls, this was a property that was being utilized as an Airbnb in violation of multiple ordinances of the borough. The property owner, or I should say the tenant who was residing in the property, was the one who was actually operating the Airbnb. He was cited. We were in court earlier this month, myself and the code enforcement officer, and the defendant in this particular case entered into a negotiated plea of guilty. A fine was administered of $300 plus court costs, and a stipulation, of course, that the property would no longer be utilized as an Airbnb. So I appreciate the assistance of the code enforcement officer on that particular regard. There's also a pending civil action that the borough is not necessarily involved in, other litigation between actually the property owner and the tenant that was engaged in that type of activity. And secondly, I just want to address the issue that the chief brought up with regard to the proposed ordinance. I can tell you and I can tell the public that this is not something that is, or I should say, this is something that is being considered by multiple municipalities in Delaware County. Multiple municipalities have already adopted an ordinance basically decriminalizing the small use of personal possession of marijuana. There are a number of other ordinances, or a number of other municipalities, I should say, in Delaware County that are in the process of considering similar legislation. And the chief hit the nail on the head when he said it is in the borough's best financial interest to give serious consideration to adopting such an ordinance. And again, so the monetary fines are remitted back to the borough's general fund as opposed to going up into the Delaware County Treasurer's general fund. Other than that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
Any questions for the solicitor?
Yes, I have a question. In the email I sent you, Mr. Solicitor, you responded back that you did not charge the borough for writing a letter to the governor.
That is correct.
Okay. So what is your policy on when you provide free service as opposed to billed service?
Generally, if it's something minimal that maybe is taking just a few minutes of my time, generally I will not bill the municipality on something that's fairly minimal. Anything that's, again, requires some substantial time, that again will be reflected in the billing.
Okay.
So again, there's discretion, as most solicitors in Delaware County utilize. We don't bill necessarily for each and everything, but again, depending on the sum and substance of the work, the solicitor will use his or her discretion. And that's with all professionals. And the engineer, I think, operates, under that same policy.
Okay. So replying to my email, which was a less than 4-sentence email, was that a charged service or was that a billed service?
Okay. We have not, I have not prepared a bill for this month's services, so I don't know offhand whether that is actually reflected in there. I know the letter to the governor was not billed to the borough.
Okay. All right, I think it speaks for itself. Thank you very much.
Does anybody else have any questions for the solicitor? Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we have call to citizens. If you would come up to the podium, give us your name, your address, and your question, please, or your comment.
Minnie DiDomenico, 116 Beechwood Road.
Is that microphone on?
Doesn't sound like it.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's lit up.
It's a recording.
It's 7.
Okay.
It's on.
My question is, the residents' tax money pays you guys up here on
Yes,
council,
that's
correct?
correct.
So why are we paying 2 people that do nothing for us? Why? I don't understand that.
Council gets paid $1,875 a year. Whether you hold a committee or you show up. By law, years ago, it was changed that if you missed 3 meetings, you were removed. That was changed in the late 90s, early 20. There is no reason, and I cannot give you a reason.
Don't you guys feel bad that you sit here and get taxpayers' money and you just do nothing?
Well, I'm not.
You don't do anything but bitch. Oh, pardon my language, but
I'm not allowed to answer because I'm not allowed to respond to questions directly. Only the council president is allowed to speak directly to them.
Feel free, Mr. Sidlow.
So the rules have changed since I was a member of the public?
She addressed you directly.
When I went to that podium and asked questions of members of council, you would often tell me that I may not address
All right,
individual members of council.
I will
But she's
answer
given you
that-
permission.
I will answer that for Mr. Sidlow. Mr. Sidlow, at the beginning of the year, after he was sworn in, when committees were assigned, was assigned Recreation Committee. Mr. Sidlow felt that was not his expertise and wanted Buildings and Grounds. We all took a turn at different committees when you're newly appointed.
Right.
There was an incident in which Mr. Sidlow was taken off of Recreation over, and he has no chair. So in essence, yes, the taxpayers are paying any council member without a chair. They're paying
Well, I'll take that committee back right now. There's no, I did not, you took me off of that committee. I did not choose.
But there was a reason, correct?
I did not choose to be taken off that committee.
It was based on rumor.
It was not based on rumor.
No.
I have a question about her too, so.
There was an incident in which Mr. Sidlow did not ask anybody's opinion for some reason. And I will throw this out to everybody. From the very beginning, right after our new members were elected, emails were sent out congratulating them and specifically saying, if you have any questions or concerns, please contact me directly. That's been repeated numerous times, but for some reason, when there's questions or concerns, some of our new members, and I will tell you, not all, Mr. Schwager has been diligent when he has a question by calling me or emailing me. But some of our members feel, for some reason, that when they have a question or concern, they cannot approach anyone. A check was issued. Unfortunately, it was not handled correctly. It got to the point in which a threat was made that if the check was not returned or the money, which was taxpayer money, was not returned, then we would get the police and CID involved. That was returned to us, and the council member was relieved of his chair.
Okay. With Miss Guy, she has been multiple times, they're saying they're doing a petition to get her back. Why aren't they telling the borough residents that they're going to the real truth? Because I'm telling you now, I know somebody went to a neighbor and was not told the truth.
And could you repeat that, please?
They have a petition going around to save Miss Guy's
Yes, I've seen
position.
it on social media.
And in that petition, they're not telling the truth. They're leaving out what it was really about, the Antifa, and she laughed about it, it's a joke. That's not right. But they're not telling residents that. They're telling them what they want.
Unfortunately, social media is something that no one can control. When somebody puts falsehoods out there, or don't complete sentences, or puts information that is not quite correct, nobody can do anything about that. Unfortunately, it's social media, and you know, what can you do?
We have one resident that just leaves a lot of the contacts out on her social media. And
Oh,
just puts it
this
right out.
person physically spoke to the person to get them to sign.
Well,
I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about that. And a petition was started by somebody who has done
Right.
petitions before.
Right.
it doesn't live in there.
So, and doesn't live here.
And where are we standing with the complaint that you sent to the letter? Was there any results on that? Or any?
I believe we're still waiting for something in writing.
Okay, thank you.
Can I say something on that?
You sure can.
If you have any questions about with petitions going around, and you're not sure, please call either the secretary, contact any of the council members. I know there was a resident who put out on social media that none of our emails were on the website. They're now there. So contact one of us and we'll let you know what's going on and give you the truth. And if you don't believe that, then go to somebody else and find out. But just don't go by what they're coming to the door and what's on social media. Because our social media, we had to take down because somebody else's social media went after us and accused us and was going to threaten us with a lawsuit.
Does anybody else wish to address council? Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President.
Mr. Powers, could
Council-
you give us your address, please, for the record?
Council passed a motion. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. 2626 Crozier Street. Council passed a motion tonight to continue to follow a protocol with the solicitor. If the protocol is not followed, what will be the penalty?
The penalty, unfortunately, the most we could do is censure someone.
It'll just be a reprimand, public
Yes, that's
reprimand?
correct. It'll be on
And
the
we'll
record.
continue to pay the solicitor as his wishes?
There's
So you really didn't accomplish anything by someone going over your head or behind your back?
Unfortunately, it's on the record. If it is done again, then the only recourse would be to have a person censured.
Fair enough.
And it is,
Also,
let me point out, it's your tax dollars.
it sure is. That's why good people in this town are going to be moving out. And it's going to be a shame, but anyway. Shout out to council and Lisa for the paving of Parkside. My street personally was done. Fantastic job.
Great.
They did a nice job. The street looks beautiful. Curb appeal for my house when I sell. So,
I knew you were going to say that.
You're not going anywhere.
You keep swearing.
so there was an accident on Arlington that I've left out in my emergency management report last Sunday. The driver took out the pole. The pole has been replaced, but the light fixture's still laying on the property owner's property.
Pika, I need a poll number. Pika will not put the,
Well,
we own the lights.
we own the light, so we need to.
Nobody, I didn't even know there was an accident.
All right, I'll get you a pole number.
Poll number.
But in the
and
meantime,
lights
can I get Ryan to go pick up the light and we'll have it in the garage?
Ryan's in Florida.
I can do it. I'll come get the Borough truck and pick it up.
We're going to do that. Yeah.
That's all I have. So I want to thank council and Lisa for their hard work, the accident, and that's it.
Miss Catania just mentioned that maybe Linda could go over and pick that up.
Right, okay, and have Lennon pick it up. I just need a poll number.
Okay. I will get that tomorrow for you.
I appreciate it.
Good job. Does anybody else wish to address? Yes, sir. Your name and your address?
Todd Bennett, 144 East Chelton. So I think gatekeepers and protocol is a good thing. It saves the borough money. I think if these two specific council members continue to go over your head, it speaks volumes. It speaks to the residents that our money doesn't matter and that they're going to do what they want to do. Miss Guy, I asked you on a Facebook group and I got no response. So I'd like to ask you directly, who are your racist, gun-loving neighbors? Don't give me your look, okay? Your tweet spoke for itself, okay? So tell us right here in front of everyone on video, who are your racist, gun-loving neighbors?
That particular comment was in reference to the gentlemen that were sitting above the barber shop early June, night of election.
Protecting his personal property.
Yeah, they were there to
The right-
intimidate and.
Oh, the
yeah.
right, no, the right to bear arms, just like you have.
Yes, we know, yes.
Right?
We've heard it quite a bit.
Right, but yeah, they're gun-loving, racist neighbors. I find that real interesting, and actually, it's a little bit troublesome that you could serve on council, and you're supposed to speak for all of us, but yet you have no problem sending out a tweet like that. You don't see that as a problem?
I'm not going to discuss that.
Of course you're not.
I'd like to talk about all of the social media council members.
No, we're not talking about anything but that. I want to know if you think that that's appropriate, that you are supposed to be serving this entire borough, and you're going to call your residents, neighbors, gun-loving racists. How can you be neutral?
You know, more than once, people in this neighborhood have said to somebody that they hope that whoever moves into the house that's for sale is not black. It's been said to me. It's been said to me.
Okay, so,
Which house?
guys,
I'm sorry.
I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Just because you have
Okay.
not experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Okay, exactly. Okay. So just like homophobia, there's racism. The problem I have is that you and your little cronies are trying to paint Parkside as being this racist place in America when racism is everywhere. And you are a resident serving on council, and you have no problem painting your borough as being racist. That's a real big issue.
I have not done that.
Oh, give me a break. You have a platform, you have a Facebook page that you allow your cronies to sit there and paint for you, and you allow it, so you allow it, you promote it. Okay? This is your borough, Miss Guy, and you're supposed to be serving on council, serving the residents neutrally.
Mr. Bennett.
You're not.
Mr. Bennett.
Okay.
Madam President, 3 minutes.
I also want to go on record that 2 of you are being paid to do nothing. Neither one of you have done anything since you've been here. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to address council? I would remind everybody of the 3-minute rule, please.
Nicole Boyers, 108 East Shelton Road. I'm a new resident here. Hi.
Hi.
We moved here in June, and so far, absolutely love it. It's been tough with COVID, as many people aren't out and about, and no community events are really going on, understandably. So turning to Facebook has been the best way to connect with my new neighbors and the council. And I found the Parkside 19015 page, and also the Parkside Free Speech page, of which Anna Guy is a founder and administrator. And I kind of laid low, just tried to get to know people, but it didn't take long for my stance on things and political leanings to get found out and even bullied for. On the Free Speech page, I was quickly admonished for my belief in God, my support of conservative values, and any news articles I posted about facts found in any of the police shootings or violence against police. Even though Anna Guy said no comments would be deleted or anyone blocked, a couple of my posts were deleted if they didn't fit the liberal trend of the page. I was eventually deleted as a member from the Free Speech page. A statement made by Anna Guy on her public Twitter account on January 22nd, 2019, she wrote, "Yes, because their parents and school have raised them to be fine Catholic boys, assuming hateful and racist is their goal. I take offense to this because I am Catholic, and my daughter is enrolled at Holy Family in Aston. A practicing Roman Catholic since birth and attended Catholic school, my daughter has been enrolled there since pre-K 3 and received all her sacraments up to this age. So is she also being taught racism, according to Anna Guy's statement? This is a violation of my civil rights based on my religious belief. And because these are protections specific to my relationship with my government, it is appropriate to say Anna Guy is violating my civil rights by discriminating against me based on my Catholic faith. And given that I've already been labeled a racist based on my faith without Anna or anyone else on that page getting to know me or my background, Here's another statement by Anna Guy on August 29th, 2020 on her Twitter account. Quote, I am most afraid of my gun-loving racists in my neighborhood. It occurs to me that as an elected official, Anna Guy does not support my right to bear arms. I am a single mother, a self-sufficient woman. I am very concerned with being able to protect myself and my daughter. It is my God-given right to defend myself and my family. It's our Second Amendment, a right not given to me by the government, but by our Creator. And if Ms. Guy cannot support and defend our Constitution and all our rights, then she doesn't need to be an elected official. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address council? If you would come up to the podium. Can you give us your name and your address?
Ron Markowitz, 23 West Garrison Road. I just had a question. Is Ms. Guy still under scrutiny and being investigated? Or did we get a final ruling on that?
We are waiting for an official letter from the governor.
Okay, because I was just curious because I thought once, when she was under scrutiny, that she wouldn't be allowed to participate in any kind of voting or whatever.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
What happens when a council member does not have a committee, they still have the right to vote and to have an opinion.
Okay.
So
That-
even if, no matter which way this goes, Mrs. Guy will still have the right to have an opinion
Gotcha.
And paycheck.
and a paycheck.
I had other stuff, but Todd took the words right out of my mouth.
You beat me to the gun.
Anybody else wish to address council? Would you come up to
Kim, you gotta get up.
podium?
Yeah,
Kim Roman, 29 East Chelton Road. I just wanted to remind everybody that I'm selling tickets to raise money for our police officers. Melinda and I are raffling off baskets. So if you need to get a hold of it, you can get a hold of either one of us on Facebook.
Super, thank you.
Teacher.
Anybody else wish to address council? I'd just like to make one quick statement, and I appreciate everybody for coming this evening and sharing your thoughts and your opinions. Just because we have one or two members of this council who have different opinions than the rest of council. I have diligently tried this year to work as a team. Obviously, that doesn't work. And I would hope everybody keeps an open mind, and everybody has the right in the United States to have their own opinion, whether we agree with it or we don't agree with it. I personally don't feel this community is any more racist than any other community in this Commonwealth. We have wonderful people living here. We've always been a tight-knit community without this issue, and I don't believe I'm blind to it. I don't believe any of us are blind to the problem. There is a problem in this country, and there's a problem of many kinds in this country. And to speak about it is a good thing. To keep it in the open is a good thing. But to be accused of being a racist when you don't know someone is unfair. So that's my 2 cents for the night. Anybody on council have any unfinished business?
I would like to make an announcement. Delaware County formed a Sustainability Commission back in March, and I've been chosen as a member of that commission. Our first meeting is tomorrow night.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody else have unfinished business? We'll move on to any new business.
Madam President, is there a possibility we could have a motion to purchase the Borough Code books for the members of council? When I joined council many, many years ago, there was a Borough Code book. I still get the supplements. They're not terribly expensive. Our rule books are not the grandstand.
Actually, no, they're not.
They're not terribly expensive, and it may actually be 10 months overdue.
If you go on to PSAB, you can actually download it free, or you can open it with your driver. So it's actually free through PSAB. And of course, anybody knows, if you want to look at our codes, parksideborough.com. All of our ordinances are on parksideborough.com, and you can load that right onto your laptop. So it saves us money.
It's almost worth spending the money.
Would you like to find out how much? Because they're not cheap anymore.
Oh, they're not? Oh, okay. I remember years ago, they were like maybe $8, $9. I will look into it. This is just a supplement,
Yeah.
absolutely. The other ones,
Yeah.
there's one that's basically your general codes that's governed by the state that kind of like gives us
It's
some
called,
basic rules.
yes, the municipal code. If you go through PSAB, you can download it onto your hard drive, or you can open it with your driver.
I will look into
I
it.
think you're looking at the borough code.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
borough
From,
code, there's a
yeah.
Crest Township code.
Just how it's
City-
established, how you pay, how many mills you're allowed to hate, basically the
Yep.
exact rule book.
And
how
I
we're
believe
allowed
our
to
new
play.
members went to councilman boot camp at the beginning of the year when they got elected, so they should be a little more refreshed than actually somebody like me.
Well, I didn't mean to distract the meeting.
No,
I just
no.
said, I think
Yeah,
staying on borough business is the most important thing we can do here.
you bet. Anybody on council, new business, old business, unfinished? If not, I'll,
I have something for the new business.
yes, sir.
Just want to let everybody know, and the residents of Parkside, that between Councilman Swigert, myself, Councilman Swigert's wife, my partner Todd, and a couple of our residents, we're planning something for Christmas on December 5th. The rain date would be December 6th. It's going to be somewhat like a Christmas parade through town. We're going to have Santa, Mrs. Claus, and candy for the kids and all that coming around. This is a council-driven event. It's not a recreation event. I'm asking that all council members be part of it, going around. A couple of us are trying to bring back the cohesiveness of Parkside after everything that's going down between what one specific resident that she keeps constantly putting out on social media that we're racist. We're trying to get rid of that, bring it back, and bring us back as Parkside used to be. So I just want to let everybody know that that will be on the Saturday, December 5th, and we have some of the fire company, the police, and everybody. So
Super.
it's going to be like something similar to Easter, I believe.
Similar to what we did this past Easter with the Easter Bunny coming around, it'll be something along those lines.
And we're going to have,
We need positive.
right, and we'll have the fire company's going to go around with, just to give people a couple minutes ahead of time, to let them know that we're coming around. I forget what they're called, they're like, they go ahead of us.
Can you guys run that event through me so I know what's going on? Because I don't know where we're going to be with COVID, and as the health inspector, I'll have to approve that event. So I need it ran past
Even
me.
for Easter?
What's going on? There's no large gatherings at this point.
No, it's not a gathering.
it's not a gathering.
No.
It's a parade.
It's
That's
just
what
a parade.
I need the events ran past me so I know what's going on.
Sure.
Okay. We're going to continue to follow CDC guidelines. I'm sure we're going to be bad by that point, but I don't know. So,
No, this is, and I'm sorry if I'm
No, that's fine. It
interrupting.
might be better coming from you.
This is just a parade in which the fire truck and I believe Mr. and Mrs. Claus will be in attendance on the back of a pickup truck or a flatbed.
that's fine, just keep me in the loop, that's all I'm
Yes,
asking.
and,
Because it's not fair to cancel trunk or treat, the Ford Fitness ceremonies, things like that, and then go ahead and do something like this. I mean, we gotta stay in line with the CDC and what we're trying to
Oh, I
accomplish in the
agree.
borough.
totally.
Yeah, that's why it's just going to be like a parade format.
That's
no
fine.
Nobody's going to be
gatherings.
standing
It don't have to be
around.
discussed here and tonight, just,
I would suggest that Councilman Schwager gets you after the meeting, if you have a
That's fine.
minute. If ever,
just
do you have a
want to get
minute?
in the loop,
Yes.
that's all.
Okay, we'll do that after the meeting. Does
Okay.
anybody else on council have any new, old, or adjourned business?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Amen. Thank you,
Madam
everyone.
President, could I just say that?
Yes, sir.
We will have additional police patrols on duty Mischief Night and Halloween, and the Borough Police Station will be open on Halloween if anybody wants to have their children's or their own candy check.
We have the bike patrol out or no?
No, we're not, no. we're
Too
going
cold?
by car, yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone.